Corporal James Hale had survived wars that erased entire cities from memory. The conflict with the Yulari had taken years from his life and left scars far deeper than the ones etched into his flesh. Even now, long after the ceasefire, the war lived inside him. He still smelled burnt sand when he closed his eyes. He still heard plasma fire, ripping through armor, and the awful silence that followed when a voice on the coms went quiet forever. War had stripped him down to something simple and brutal. Survive today. Mourn tomorrow. When the ceasefire was finally signed, James expected to be sent home. Earth, blue skies, oceans, a place where the ground didn't glow red from bombardment. He imagined his mother's voice, older now, calling his name the way she used to when he was a boy. He imagined standing on a beach, letting waves wash the blood and dust from his boots. Instead, the summons came. It wasn't digital. It wasn't human. It arrived on alien parchment, its surface warm to the touch, etched with glowing symbols that pulsed faintly like a living heart. 2 Yulari guards delivered it in silence, towering over the doorway of his barracks. Their silver skin reflected the dim lights, their black eyes unreadable. James didn't resist. Resistance had never helped anyone in a place like this. He followed them through halls of cold stone, his boots echoing as if announcing his guilt. He assumed this was judgment, retribution, war crimes. Someone always had to pay after a war ended. The court chamber was vast and oppressive. Incense burned somewhere unseen, mixing with the metallic scent of old blood. At the far end sat the High Matron, her throne carved from obsidian so dark it seemed to drink the light. She was taller than any human woman, her skin like liquid silver, her eyes deep and endless as space itself. Other matrons flanked her, silent and still, watching James as if he were a specimen rather than a man. He stood alone before them, jaw clenched. He had faced artillery without fear, but this was different. This was judgment without a battlefield. Corporal James Hale of Earth, the High Matron said, her voice soft yet absolute. You stand before us not as a prisoner but as one chosen? Chosen. The word made no sense. She continued, unmoved by his confusion. The Yulari Empire bleeds. Our sons are dead. Our warriors lie in ash. Our daughters reach maturity with no future before them. By decree of the High Court, you are ordered to mate with our newly adult females. Your seed will ensure the survival of our kind. The words struck him harder than any weapon ever had. For a moment, James thought he had misheard. He waited for laughter. For correction. For this to turn into a cruel joke. Nothing came. You want to turn me into breeding stock? His voice came out rough, broken with disbelief. After everything. After your soldiers burned our cities and butchered my brothers? The High Matron's gaze did not waver. Yes, because you survived. Because your kind endures. Rage flared inside him, hot and uncontrollable. They were stealing his choice. His dignity. His humanity. He wanted to scream, to spit, to fight his way out if he had to. Then he saw them. Behind sheer curtains stood the daughters. Young. Silent. Watching. Their faces held fear, not hatred. Uncertainty, not malice. They weren't soldiers. They hadn't marched through human streets with fire in their hands. They were simply born into the aftermath of a war they never chose. Something in James cracked. This wasn't punishment. It was survival. That night, sleep refused to come. Memories circled him like vultures. Daniels bleeding out in his arms. Ortega screaming as plasma fire turned trenches into furnaces. Those men had trusted him. Followed him. Died beside him. Anger had kept him alive. But anger couldn't fix this. The next morning, an Yulari elder named Lissa came to see him. Her voice was tired, weighted with centuries of loss. Do not punish our daughters for our sins, she said softly. They carry no ghosts. Only fear. James wanted to refuse. To walk away. But refusal meant extinction for an entire people. That burden crushed him. When the daughters finally met him, they did not beg. They did not accuse. They simply stood there, trembling, waiting to be abandoned again. I hate graves more, James told them quietly. That's all war leaves behind. And in that moment, something changed. The hatred did not vanish overnight. It burned, stubborn and sharp. But something stronger began to grow beside it. Responsibility. protection, purpose. Not everyone accepted him. Whispers followed him. Threats appeared carved into stone. One night, assassins came for him in the dark. He fought like the soldier he was, bloodied but unbroken. When the daughters rushed to his side, fear written across their faces. He understood the truth at last, that this was no longer about orders, it was about loyalty. He stayed. Years passed. Children were born. Half human, half Yulari stronger than either parent alone. Where silence once ruled, laughter echoed through gardens of silver trees. Where despair had lived, hope took root. James aged while the Yulari did not. His hair turned gray. His hands trembled. But he never regretted staying. When death finally came, it came gently. Surrounded by the family he never expected, James Hale closed his eyes in peace. The war ghosts faded. His fight was finally over. They buried him beneath the silver trees, where children played and life continued. Generations later, his story was still told across two worlds, not as a tale of conquest, but as proof that humanity's greatest strength was never war. It was compassion.